The word brand comes from a Proto-Germanic word, B-R-A-N-D-R, brand, and that word literally meant to burn. Now, how does to burn correlate with how we understand branding today? In those times, their assets were livestock. And so if I bring two, how can I tell which of them is Nana's cow and which of them is Paa Kwesi's cow?
I have to brand them.
They had to burn something on the horns of the livestock. And so that then helps us to understand the fundamental purpose of branding. And that is differentiation. You are just not branding because I have to build a personal brand, but you are doing it because you are trying to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. That is the fundamental purpose or the primary purpose for building a brand.
Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, joining the community that is empowering and elevating you. You could be anywhere else online, but you chose to be here, and I appreciate it. Today's guest is a brother, he's a very dear friend of mine, somebody that I look up to. Charlie, anybody that comes here is somebody that I look up to. The one and only Paa Kwesi Forson.
Charlie, brother, how everything will go?
Charlie, see, the scheduling before we could make this happen, everything was just haywire.
Wild. It was wild.
He put so many things on pause, tight this thing in. He's a very, very, very busy man. Calls from Tanzania, Kenya, all over the world. Charlie, Paa Kwesi, what's going on?
Charlie, by God's grace, everything is going on good.
I like the hair.
Charlie, this is a trademark, the signature. So
you have to trademark it. If anybody grows the hair,
once I get my beard like you now, try.
Charlie, so for my audience who do not know who you are,
okay,
just do a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and what you have to offer the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my name is Paa Kwesi Folson. I'm an award-winning public speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I run this company called Revol Solutions Limited. And so we do two things. So we do human capital development. So we train staff of companies and different people in general, just equip them with soft skills so that they can be more useful to the marketplace. And then we also do marketing. So that's more like a B2B service where we spot tech companies or boring companies, as in people in the mining, real estate sector, those kind of companies, and then coaching consulting. But our ideal clients are coaching consulting people. And so basically that's about who I am and what I do. And so I decided to be a public speaker so I could empower people and equip people with relevant skills that will make them exponentially better in their marketplace and make them better versions of themselves. So essentially that's what I do. And yeah.
Well, that sounds brilliant. You said something that immediately stood up to me, and I like us to jump in from that angle.
Right.
What do you do for companies again? You take their staff and you take them to...
Yep. So we train. So what we do is that, so I organize a lot of workshops. So my company, we do a lot of workshops. So from public speaking to personal branding to thought leadership to anything that really elevates people. So we have our core things, that is public speaking and emotional intelligence, and then leadership. So basically what we are trying to do is that so many people in organizations are so equipped technically, but they don't have the right soft skills. And so we come in and then we say, okay, it's fine. You know your software development. You know your whatever skill that you are very much that you very much know. But then we give you the things that support you and enable you, that such as communication, emotional intelligence, so that allows you to be able to function at a very high level, because these are the things that really allow you to be able to lead large groups of people and allow you to really, take them to the next frontier of whatever they're trying to achieve. And so, yeah, basically that's what we really do.
So let's start from the top. Okay. What is soft skills?
Yeah, absolutely. So soft skills are, I love to call soft skills your human skills. So it's basically any skill that is almost like a utility skill. It can be in any different environment. So, you're in real estate, but you still need to communicate with a team. And so it allows you to function in any area of your life or any area of work that you function in and then it's like a supporting factor to your technical skills to amplify your abilities. So I mean, if you're a leader, and then, or if you want to, let me put it this way. So imagine you have people working for you, or you have people in a team. Okay, just the fact that you are good at a particular skill doesn't mean that you should be promoted within your workplace. It's about your understanding, your leadership intelligence of, okay, how do I learn how to delegate, or learn how to be able to spot the people that can be able to move in areas, to be able to do things that will essentially move the company forward, or move an organization forward, or move the vision forward. And so it's just to be able to help or enable or amplify your technical skills. So that's what I call soft skills. It's just basically your human skills that are not necessarily your technical skills. So it's just a supporting thing that you build out of your own basically that.
You said a few.
A lot of things.
You said a few things that are very important.
Okay.
But I want us to take them one by one.
Okay.
Why are soft skills necessary for company success?
Absolutely.
No, let's not even broaden it, because somebody might feel like, I'm not a company, I don't have a company.
Yeah.
Why is, as an entrepreneur, as a freelancer, or even as a student, somebody that is growing my career, why do I need soft skills? Because I feel like if I learn my coding, I'm good.
Yeah. and that's the thing. So most people, have you ever met those kind of technical founders where they are good at what they do, but then they go meet an investor and they can't even speak to save their lives. They can't be able to even communicate their value. And so what we do is that we equip people with soft skills such as communication, in order for you to then communicate that value, or what, in other words, for you to be able to be very functional. Now the thing is this, okay? You are in an environment, if you find yourself in an environment with people, okay, there are so many different factors that could cause a rift between anybody. Okay, now if you're not emotionally intelligent to understand your other person, or to understand your teammate, you go into certain environment, and then there's this entire issue, and then you just don't know how to be able to react. You don't know how to be able to then say, okay, I'm so sorry for this. Those things, it doesn't come to people easily.
It takes
time. You need to understand there are dynamics behind these things. There's psychology behind these things. And so what we do is that it's just to be able to help the regular person to be able to amplify their technical abilities. It's what you need in your life to be able to just function better at a much higher level. And so yes, essentially that's what we do. But majorly we focus on public speaking.
I want to add this. Okay. Starting my career, I've had a lot of interactions with a lot of clients.
Okay.
Right. And I realized that we are closing more deals now than before.
All right.
Because me personally as a founder, I'm able to communicate exactly what we have to offer to the client more.
Exactly.
And I remember a few years back when, emailing with the client back and forth, and the client to say, okay, for XYZ, how much do you charge? And I'm even so scared to mention the amount. Right? So I can mention maybe XYZ amount. I put the phone down and I'm like, Father. But yeah, because I realized that my communication skills were not there. We could have a client and we have like a 3-week schedule.
Okay.
And on the 3rd week, we realized that due to certain delays, we need to extend. And it was so difficult to just tell the clients that I'm requesting for a 7-day extension or an 8-day extension. And it really hurts my business a lot in the beginning.
Okay.
So I really, really value what you are saying.
Yeah.
And anybody that takes that is going to be successful in business, right?
Absolutely.
But I want us to take a few steps back.
Okay.
Pa, we are in Ghana.
Absolutely.
And I know you know the crisis that is going on. People are going to school. I don't even want to use for the wrong reasons. People are going to school, learning things that might end them. I don't want to use the word poverty. Might end them in a very bad place later on.
Yeah.
Right? They are pursuing courses that we'll just get them in a bad place, right? I want you to look at the Ghanaian ecosystem, because I know you've worked for a lot of companies, you've spoken to a lot of CEOs, you know what they are looking for, stuff like that. Let's start from that angle. In the Ghanaian ecosystem currently, what do you think any student or any person looking to be financially free or a better person as an individual, what are some of the things these people should look out for? Or what are some of the skills these people need to absorb in themselves? How does one become successful right now in the Ghanaian climate?
Okay. So, I love the question. Now, just for context, when I finished school, I graduated, I remember, in November. Of the year that I completed. By February, March, I was already training multi-million-dollar companies, and I was 22 years old.
Wow.
And the way I was able to then get into these spaces to be able to then consult and then train multi-million-dollar companies is that, you don't get that. You don't just go train a multi-million-dollar company just from learning some bunch of things in school. Like you need knowledge that transcends your educational institution. And so some of the things that I believe that people should have, especially young students, that can fast track their ability are 4 things that I call the 4 C's of marketplace domination. So number 1 is that you need to learn how to network. So in other words, you need connections. Okay,
that's the first C.
The first is actually a certificate, so credentials. Okay, so I just don't want to speak so much on that because you're a student. Eventually, you end up then graduating, and so you have your credentials. So that's almost certain. However, most people leave there and they don't have people within their space or people who are influential within a certain space. They don't know how to network with people. And so what then I encourage people to do is that you need to network. Now, some people say networking doesn't work, but I say it works. Most people just network for immediate reasons. And so they are just trying to talk to somebody so they can get their bread today. And that's not what networking is about.
Like networking is a long-term game.
Exactly. So it's a long-term game. In fact, I always tell people that just if you stop networking and start building relationships. So stop networking and start doing relationship building.
And I love that. I've never heard that before. I love that so much. Wow. I always do this. Looking down your camera and Paa and say that for me.
If you're listening to me, I want you to stop networking and start doing relationship building. They are not the same thing. Networking and building a relationship are not the same thing. And so most people approach networking with a very superficial manner and a very myopic manner. What you want to do is that you want to really base whatever you're doing on true, authentic relationships, build a real connection with people. And that's what I'm talking about. So the second C, connections. And so people have to understand that networking is about an exchange, okay? An exchange of value, one way or another, okay? And so when I'm talking about connections, I'm talking about young people learning how to be able to give themselves out or exchange some form of value between them and the people in the marketplace. You should, by all means, if you're a student or a young person, you should have some people in the marketplace who you are learning from, you are contributing to their lives one way or another. Like it's if you really want to move fast, that's if you don't want to now struggle like everybody else, you need to have that. Number 3, you need something called competence. Now, how do you develop competence? Competence is literally just your real tangible value in the marketplace. And so most people then leave school, but they have a certificate that proves their theoretical knowledge, but they don't have anything that validates their practical knowledge.
Let me stop you there. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the pod. I think last year.
All right.
One of our top developers was going to further his education abroad. Right. So we needed to do some hiring before he disappeared. We sent out ads on LinkedIn. We had a whole lot of people sign up, which was the first surprise to me. Right. I was like, okay, maybe what people are saying is quite true because maybe there are really no jobs in the country. So everybody, but I have a friend, shout outs to Hora anyway.
Okay.
I have a friend, that lady gets jobs like this. Because last week she was working at this job. She gains the experience that she needs. She feel like it's not working for her. Because I feel she has the competence.
Yeah.
Right. I went through all the CVs myself personally because I like to be in the middle of the hiring process. Because this people are not just come to take salary.
Exactly.
They're coming to be part of the team. And I saw some amazing CVs. Hey, see some of these guys, like people are stuck in the programming language back to back. I'm like, wow, we're about to, enter the whole new dimension. And we bring out these top 10 people to the office and they start talking about their certificates, as you said.
Yeah.
And, all that. I'm like, okay, cool. Could you show me any of the projects you've worked on? Not a single person. And I'm like, I don't understand. You went to school for 4 years and you had nothing to show for. No portfolio whatsoever.
Nothing.
And I'm like, and I love what you're saying because people think certificate is competence.
Not at all.
I want you to hammer that side more.
Yeah,
for me.
your credentials, do not mistaking your credentials for competence. They are not the same thing. They are not. So that's why sometimes when I see people always chasing the next certificate, sometimes it's funny. Okay, I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say that it's completely bad to be able to chase a certificate and all of that. It's fine. Okay, however, that is not what proves
your competence.
Your competence in the marketplace. And so there are some people who then get credentials and then automatically they feel entitled to opportunities. But then opportunities do not come to those who have credentials. Opportunities come to the most competent. And so I always tell people that you have to build competence. You have to be in the marketplace. You have to. It's either if you're not charging for your expertise yet, you need to be volunteering. You need to be doing something for free. You need to build a portfolio. You need to build results.
Kara was here.
Okay.
I was talking about working, for free.
Yeah.
And I want to say this, right? Before I got my first big check, I was hungry. There was a desire in me and an emptiness in my pocket.
Yeah.
Right? That was some years back. And I was just there. Feeling like nobody's going to give me money for whatsoever reason. And God being so good, I had a connection with one great personality business mogul in this country.
Okay.
And I looked at him, and the day I went to his office, I got there around 9 a.m., 8:30 a.m. And they said he's in a meeting. You get to me. I was there 9, 10, 11, 12. The other person that I was with was like, Charlie, somebody would have walked out.
Yeah.
And I used that time to think, what at all am I going to tell this man that all the other people that have come to him has not heard before? And I went to him and I'm willing to work for free.
Oh.
It sounded like he was like, are you sure? Like, oh yeah, let me. I worked for almost a year.
For free?
Yeah. And thank God being so good, so the opportunity was a bit remote and very, very flexible. Right, so it wasn't eating in my pocket so much in terms of transport.
No,
whatever.
but I agree.
But let me just finish one time. Getting to the end of the year, he entered my office and gave me a check. That check changed a lot of things. just by the way. So I'm just saying that when people are asking you to show what you can do, it's also them safeguarding their company.
Exactly.
It's not that anybody wants to use you. And definitely I have been used a lot by people that will throw you here and all those things. But it's the experience sometimes that you gather from some of these things are very, very valuable. But back to you here.
In fact, and I want to be used. I don't want to be misused. There's a difference.
Yeah, the gems this guy is giving me. There's a difference between being used and being misused.
But some people, they don't want to be used. They say, I don't want to be used. What? You have to be used.
You should be useful.
Exactly.
I love that.
And so I completely agree. When I started, so I don't think I said that earlier in my submission, but I'm a coach. So I mean, everything that we do in our company, we do it is either down for you or down with you. So the down with you is coaching, consulting. And so earlier in my coaching career, one of the things that I did start with was that, I mean, a few things, but I started helping people to become key people of influence. What I mean is that just building their personal brands or LinkedIn specifically, because at the time that's one of the things that I really felt that it could move the needle for me. And so
I just want to say this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I saw that you're one of the very first people in the country for LinkedIn to send a whole is it a coffee mug or what?
Yeah, it was a match. A match
yeah. From their office. Was it California?
Yeah, Sunnyvale, California.
That was cool. When I saw that, I was like,
yeah,
I'm connected to some really, really, really serious people.
Yeah.
LinkedIn had to ship all that for you.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely, it was great.
Very proud of you for that, by the way.
Thank you. And so I started doing, what I did was that I took my very first 100 clients, I did it for free. I coach people, and I'm not just talking about some 10-minute session, I'm talking about 4-hour sessions. Big, even some of them extending 3 days, and I did it for free. My first 100 clients. And then even after that, the person that I then charged, my very first person that I charged the person 30 CDs for my coaching session. 30 Ghana CDs. I remember when the person says the money, because I just wanted to just validate and see whether somebody was just willing to pay for any amount. I don't even know why I charged 30 CDs, but I still did it. And then I remember I just used that money to just buy some jollof. The money was finished. So 30 CDs was gone. Then I moved to 50 CDs. Then I moved to 80 CDs. Then I moved to 100 CDs. Then I moved to 150 CDs. Then I moved to 200 CDs. And now some people cannot even afford my coaching programs. It's insane. And so it's step by step. But first of all, before I could get some of these bigger gigs to be able to do coaching at a very high level, because trust me, I don't even want to say some things, but I really have a lot of very, very influential people inside of my coaching programs. People that a lot of people see, and they are right inside my coaching programs. And how did I get those? All because I decided to build competence by taking my first 100 people for free. And so I just didn't say, oh, let me go and take some certification and then automatically I feel entitled to opportunities. No, I realized that opportunities always come to the company.
The entitlement game or entitlement culture in this country is insane.
Insane.
It's very, very insane.
It's wild.
You know, you have people DMing you for opportunity. They want to intern, they want to do this, they want to do this. And sometimes the entitlement that comes along with it, I'm like, this is crazy. Do you know how long it took us to build this to this level? And I guess coming in and you feel entitled.
It's crazy. I don't even want to talk about this subject. I'll get...
Anyway, let's go on.
Wow. It's serious because entitlement...
Anyway, let's talk about building a personal brand.
Absolutely.
How is that possible? Why is that important? And how does one build a personal brand?
Okay, so it really depends on what you want. Okay, so some people build their personal brands to become influencers, but other people build their brands to become key people of influence or a key person of influence.
What's the difference?
Now, there's a difference between a key person of influence and somebody who's an influencer. A key person of influence becomes like a thought leader, where you are respected within a particular niche or sector of your industry. So over here, you are not, there are influencers who then build their platforms for popularity, and they have this lifestyle appeal, and so people then give them brand deals and say, talk about my product and all of that. That's that. Okay, so they've built an audience for that. However, there are people who want to become thought leaders, where they are contributing to their industry, their shape-shifting conversations in their ecosystem. And so what you want to do is that, first of all, you have to define what your personal brand is for. Are you trying to just be an influencer with a bunch of followers on social media, or you're trying to become somebody who's respected within your industry, somebody who's shaping conversations, somebody who's really contributing at a very high level to your industry? And so
meaning there are lots of influencers, not a lot of influential key people.
Yes, exactly. People of influence.
We need a few more of those in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people just are building an audience and like
nothing to give.
Exactly, nothing substantial to it. And there's no shade to anybody. But
I actually appreciate some of the influencers that we have in this country.
I do.
Very amazing work. Some of the things that we do
I do in our company, we do work with influencers and stuff like that. So.
Some of the things we do cannot even go far without their input and help. So
exactly.
That's not what we mean. They
exactly.
Put in a few
so
things
first of all, you have to define. So if you want to be an influencer, that's fine. But if you want to be a key person of influence, and that's a book, by the way, from Daniel Priestley. It's called Key Person of Influence. He wrote in 2014. It's one of the books that if you're listening to me, are trying to build a personal brand that really moves the needle, I say you're trying to be one of those people that are shaping conversations and shaping industry norms and all of that, you want to read that book. It's called Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. This is one of my books that I don't even share out there. But I'm telling you guys now, okay? So that's what you want to first of all figure out. So what exactly are you building a personal brand for? And so you want to define that. So then that's that's what I want to say for now. But let me just go into, I have a formula for building a personal brand and I call it VAVA. So VAVA is, first of all, the first V is vision, the next A is authenticity, the next V is value, the next V is visibility, and then there's an A which is authority. So vision, authenticity, value, visibility, authority, VAVA. That's what I call it. Now, before you even get into VAVA, you have to understand what personal branding is fundamentally. Now, when you look at one thing people don't know about me is that I've been studying etymology since 2018. Etymology is simply the root and origin of words. Exactly. So when it comes to a lot of my sessions, people hear the Greek and the Latin and all those things, but it's just to be able to really help me to understand, or help people to understand things from its original point of view, so that it gives you a deeper understanding. And so the word brand comes from a Proto-Germanic word. When you say Proto-Germanic word, it's just a variation of German, just like we had English and Old English. And so it came from a Proto-Germanic word known as brandr, B-R-A-N-D-R, or there's also brandas. And so that word literally meant to burn. Now, how does to burn correlate with how we understand branding today? It's because in those times, their assets were livestock. And so if I bring two goats here, how can I tell which of them is Nana's cow or which of them is Paa Kwesi's cow?
You have to brand them.
They have to brand them. So they had to burn something on the horns of the cattle or of the livestock. And so that then helps us to understand the fundamental purpose of branding. And that is differentiation. And so you're just not branding because, okay, I have to build a personal brand, but you are doing it because you are trying to differentiate yourself in the marketplace, because there are so many people. Okay, I mean, you're a software developer, you're a photographer, you're a videographer, you are creative, you're a public speaker like me, or you're a business person like Nana running a particular business, okay? How then do you differentiate yourself in the marketplace? That is the fundamental purpose or the primary purpose for building a brand. Whether it's a personal brand, it's a corporate brand, whatever it may be, that's the fundamental purpose. So once you understand that context of the livestock, then we move into VAVA. So first of all, the vision is you just have to determine what exactly you're trying to achieve with your brand and where you want to be with your brand. Most people don't even establish that. And so
let me just put this in.
Okay.
Does everybody need to have a brand? Or some people, the branding is for some people, others, maybe I feel like, or me, I just want to go to school, get a job, and get married. Do I need a brand?
Everybody already has a brand. That's the thing.
That's the very beautiful. I just really wanted to say that, because I read a book that said that. I don't know if I can't put my hand on that, but I don't know if it was Robert Greene.
Okay.
But he was talking about brand, right? And he said everybody has a brand. It's either you give them the brand you want, or they give you the brand they see. And
exactly, I love that.
And that was just mind blowing, because you can influence people to think that this guy is truthful.
Exactly.
And that is your brand.
Exactly.
And then if you don't influence that brand, they can decide to give you anything else.
Exactly.
That this guy is late. This guy is disrespectful.
Exactly.
But I'm not you're the guest. Let's go.
No, but that's exactly what it is. So first of all, you need to really establish that. Now, the thing about building a brand is that you always have the opportunity to always reinvent yourself as many times as possible. And so for me, most people don't know this, but I used to be a model way like years ago. I used to be a model. So my Instagram that people are now seeing today, it used to be a modeling page, me wearing fashion items and all of the jewelry and those things. And so I then later on Friday 9th April 2021, I found my purpose, a discussion for another time, depending on whether you want to ask me about that or not. But I then found my purpose, and then I decided to then embrace my calling within the public speaking arena. And so I then had to now go through a lot of things, build myself, build my my competence in the public speaking area. And then I realized that, okay, now that I want to build my brand as a professional speaker, because I'm a professional speaker, I don't just do public speaking, I'm a professional speaker as well. And so what I did was that I had to now establish, okay, this is where I want to take this. This is the possibility. So I look at guys like Vusi and all of these guys, and I see, okay, this is how far you can literally take this. And so I had to first of all establish my vision. Then I had to embrace my authenticity, because I'm not like every other person in the market. If you truly want to be differentiated in the market, you first of all have to embrace your own unique identity. And so that's what I did. I had to do that, and that's what everybody can do. And then number 3, you have to build your value. Now, your value is where a lot of people mistaking their branding. Now, if you're trying to be a key person of influence, you need to establish and build your value. Most people cannot even really communicate the value that they bring into the marketplace. And so once you do establish your value, it's going to be very difficult for people to pay attention to you, because people will pay attention to you before they ever pay you with currency. And so that all starts with
attention is the first payment.
Attention is the first payment. Almost every time. Yeah.
If you can't get the attention, you can.
Exactly. And so you need to first of all, and that attention is not going to come until you build your value. So value precedes attention. Let me say that again. Value always precedes attention. So there's no way that you're going to, because even for comedians and all those people, no matter what you do, that's the value that they have to the world. So you first of all have to then figure out what your value is. Now, you see, there are different types of value. There's the value that you think that you have, and there's a value that the market wants from you. So you have to really find a way to connect the value that you have with what the market wants. Then you push that out to the market, and then it comes to the next V, which is visibility. You have to build visibility. Now, there are 3 levels to visibility. There's the level 1 where you're conspicuous. So the level 1 of building visibility is where you're conspicuous. Level 2 is where you're noticed. Level 3 is where you're remembered. Let me say this again. So there are 3 levels of visibility. Number 1, or level 1, is conspicuousness. Level 2 is being noticed. Level 3 is being remembered. And so what you want to do is that you want to be able to find a way to transcend through these levels.
These 3 levels.
Exactly. Move from just being conspicuous. Being conspicuous is that you are seen. So you are seen as maybe one of these people. So maybe you're just seen as a podcaster. Or then you are when you are noticed, you are now seen as one of the best podcasters. But when you are remembered, you are seen as the best podcaster. That's the difference between remembered, noticed, and seen. And so you want to transcend through that.
Let me break you right there.
Okay.
Right now, my podcast, I'm going to use you.
Yeah.
Right. So looking at my brand.
Yes.
The Empower Elevate brand.
Absolutely.
Right? Let's use this as a case study.
Absolutely.
Where we are now, where would you put us in the 3 realm, in the 3 levels of visibility? And how do we get to the ultimate level?
Yeah. So as of now, I'll say you're noticed, especially with the first video. So, but you need a certain level of consistency to be able to keep that up. Because when you look at people who have built a great name over time, like Oprah Winfrey, okay, when people are thinking about podcasts and stuff like that, they don't even, first of all, they think about it in a very myopic way. I mean, Oprah and all of those people built a big brand, and they were doing interviews and all of that. And so what you need to do is that you really need to, first of all, you need this, that there needs to be time. Okay, you actually need to give yourself time, because some things, for example, with the trajectory that you're already going, with the value that you're already going, it's not a matter of if you're going to be one of the best podcasters, it's when. So it's just a matter of time. So the moment you keep up that consistency, because you need to build brand equity. And that's when people think of podcast in Ghana, do they count you on their fingertips? And so that comes from being radically consistent. Now, one of the ways that you can be able to move into the remembered realm is really by getting the best people on your show, and that's what you're starting with me, but there are more people. Okay, so I mean, if you could target people that their stories are not often told, and they are very hidden gems. So, for example, if you got somebody like, you pushed every batting and got somebody like Kevin Otre on your show, you have a discussion that people do not always have. As saying, how did you make it? No. Talk about something that is different from what people usually talk about. Once you have that, it brings this uniqueness to the game. but you still have to be able to ensure that it is authentic to what you are trying to achieve, because it's empower and what elevate. So that means you can't just bring everybody, but you can.
Mr. Kevin Otri.
Yeah.
Please.
This is a call out to you.
This is a call out to you. I still have. Okay, don't worry. This is public. This is fine.
We'll talk behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll make it possible.
So
it's a promise to that. So we'll make it possible. It's very possible.
Yeah.
We have to pull a few long strings.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll make it happen.
Exactly that. So I mean, that's I think for you it's just a matter of when, and so yeah, you really just get there, and so also just introducing different things into what you do. So I mean, think of your.
That's why this guy is a coach, man. You see how he's.
think of your podcast like a product, okay? Because essentially it's a product that you are giving out to people, and so every product that is put into the marketplace always has its unique competence, as in USP, exactly. It's unique selling proposition. And so when you look at everybody else within the marketplace, how can you develop your USP? And that's why when you told me about the idea, I just wouldn't mention it because it's not yet out there. No. Exactly that, I was like, wow, this is what you call a USP, because it's bringing something different to the marketplace.
Right.
And so yes, that's what I can say. And finally, authority. Let me just end with that. So after you're visible, you need to build authority. And so one of the things that you can do is that you need to then be seen as the person shaping the conversations around podcasting. So how do you do that? Is that, and this is where you actually get into the realm of being remembered. And what you need to do is this. Let me say it this way. So you see, right now you are participating. So now you have to go from being a player to being an industry regulator. Think about that for a second.
I am.
Yeah, think about that for a second. So what you need to do is that you need to be playing your podcast at a higher level. So now what you can do is that you can have an event or workshop just for people who want to be in the podcast game. And so now you're like literally directly giving to the podcast market, and you are being seen as the person who is what? The thought leader and the bona fide leader in this space. Because now you are not just doing the podcast, you are contributing, you are giving knowledge, it's expertise that you're marketing at that point in time. That changes the game.
Bro. That is value, right? That's why he charges that kind of money he charges, because that's value. Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Forson.
Yeah.
Let's go back a bit. True or false?
Okay.
Were you on a radio station at 12?
Yeah, I was.
How did you manage that? 12 years old? What was the story behind that?
I was just a guest. on one of the things. So I was a football fanatic. And so one thing about me is...
So you've been speaking for a long time?
Yes, I have. No, but at the time I had an inferiority complex, and so I was shy. I wasn't really speaking. I was
really? Yeah.
I know, you can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
It's insane. So at the time, I just think that my self-esteem was very low, and so I just didn't think highly of myself, and that's typical of many Ghanaian kids. You've heard of this thing? You remember this thing? Wow, dog. Whoa. You know, that's one of the things that has made a lot of Ghanaians very timid. Because now you answer a question in class, you get it wrong, then your teacher is like, "Hey, so you're not listening? Everybody, let's boo him and a wild dog." Whoa. And so what it does is that encourages your friends to then always be teasing you, to always be mocking you, and so you're always scared of, like, you're now scared of being mocked and all of that. And so the next time that they ask a question and you have the right answer, you're not going to put up your hand in the class. Why? Because you are timid. And so most Ghanaians went through that, and so I had that. I mean, every Ghanaian kid had that, and so almost Ghanaian kids, I'll say every. And so I was timid at some point in time. I just wasn't expressing myself. However, in 2015, I went through a little mental reorientation, kind courtesy of the Bible, especially Psalm 82 verse 6, which says, ye are gods, because you are children of the Most High. And so that literally helped me to embrace a unique identity in Christ. And so that allowed me to then manifest at a high level. So whenever I walk into the room, I just don't walk into a room like, oh, I'm just another person. I walk into the room with God energy, and that changes the game. And so yeah, I was talking about football. Yeah, I support Chelsea. If you cut me right now, you see blue blood.
You know, you just made a very, 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 very emotional point for me.
Okay.
Right, I was in a boardroom experience in a country somewhere.
Okay.
Right, there's this business school and challenge thing.
Right.
And they were talking about Ghanaians that come there. And we're like, we are one of the worst business people to find in the boardroom.
Really?
And yes, I thought it was trolling at first. Like I saw it firsthand. And I have a guest coming on from that country when the person comes here. Somebody that I met there, somebody that was on the board. She's gonna have a discussion about the Ghanaian mindset affecting business.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we have upcoming.
Can't wait to watch that. Yeah.
And you see a Ghanaian in a boardroom delivering a presentation or delivering whatever, right? And let's say Ghanaian is trying to sell this iPad.
Okay.
Please, this is the iPad, and please, it's 16 CDs, and please. And the woman said, if you say please one more time, and it makes
yeah.
You see the whole polite nature of the Ghanaian youth or the Ghanaian citizen in terms of business can be good in the hospitality area. That's why it's good. Ghanaians are so hospitable. But in the business sector, it's very poisonous, right? Because it then makes you look like you do not know what you are doing, and you are begging for the opportunity.
Exactly.
And deep down thinking about it now, I'm tracing it to the way some of us were raised.
Exactly.
Because this might be a bit controversial. When I've had conversations with people from all over the world. Okay. There are very few people that I can have a very good conversation with, and I feel like I've had a conversation with this person because this person has a personality. A lot of Ghanaians don't have personality. And there's no shade, no shade to anybody, because I have friends from all over the world, right? People from all walks of life. You can talk to, like I have friends in South Africa, so I don't even want to go to the US or the UK or wherever. Let's do Africa. Okay. You can talk to somebody in South Africa and be like, for example, hey, how was your day? And the way in which their personality will answer the question is beautiful. Like when I'm first time experience, hey, how was your day? What did you do today? Oh, my day has been amazing. I did XYZ and I couldn't believe it was so. And it's not about being a talkative. It's about your expressive nature. Yeah. That is how humans have been made, to be able to express ourselves. That's why we have a tongue that we can express. And from the way the Ghanaian child has been raised, it has killed expression. That is something that I believe so much, because
100%.
Yeah, because you can be growing up and you say something wrong and hey, shut up. Don't speak when you're not spoken to. And they affect you so much.
I mean, people grow up and they are so used to it that they don't even realize how much damage it has caused.
Yeah. I was like that for a long time till I consciously had to put an end to it.
You need to be intentional about it. I always tell people there's this law from John C. Maxwell, and it's the very first law of growth in his book called The 15 Valuable Laws of Growth, and it's called the law of intentionality, and it states that growth doesn't happen by accident. And so if you want to come out of something like this, it doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional.
It's affecting you so much, trust me.
Seriously.
It really is. It really is affecting you so much. It's affecting so many things that you do. It even affects the way you drive. It sounds funny, but it's true. It even affects the way you eat. I don't know if you've noticed how some people eat, and if you eat like that, I'm not saying this is your case. It might be. It's not a general study, but something that I observed, that when I'm in some parts of the world and they're eating, you see the like, let's say the protein, they eat the protein alongside the food, and they can call for more protein. But then certain people that I grew up with eat the food first. They feel like they have to work for the protein. Do you understand? Like you're eating rice and chicken. You have to eat the rice and finish eating the rice like you've done the work. And you are rewarded with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess realize it's like a mindset thing. But anyway, just by the way. Back to my guest.
I don't know what you're talking about. That just reminded me of something. But anyway.
Oh, let me hear you.
No. It's just this is part of my story that I don't think I've ever shared before. But I don't know. You're just talking. for some reason, just came to my mind.
Sure.
So in 2017, I was admitted to 37, and I had a little issue with my throat, and it was like a little growth in my throat, and so I couldn't eat solid food. Yeah, I couldn't eat solid food.
How did you survive?
It was insane. So every food that I eat was blended. So like jollof. And it's so crazy. I ate jollof yesterday. Those in 2017, I couldn't eat jollof. It had to be blended with chicken, rice. Like it would be blended. So I'm drinking jollof like cocoa.
Wow.
And
this is funny now, but I'm sure it was like
at the time it was insane. I don't even want to describe that entire scenario, but now just thinking about it is so insane that it's with the same throat and my voice that I've used to impact hundreds and thousands of people. It's crazy. But yeah, the food thing, Charlie. Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about LinkedIn.
Okay.
Right.
LinkedIn.
Is it still worth it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many people who have different thoughts and things about LinkedIn, and I mean that sometimes LinkedIn is annoying, if I should put it that way. However, it's worth it completely. Depends on your goal for the place, and it depends on how you go about everything. There are some people who just go there and they are just also I can't
Okay.
yeah.
Let me ask the question this way.
Okay.
I guess wake up today, this morning. I've realized that I want to do LinkedIn.
Okay.
Whatever that means. Doing LinkedIn. Right. I realized I want to do LinkedIn. I want to be on LinkedIn.
Right.
Make connections.
Yeah.
Hopefully land a job, a gig, whatever it is. But let me even start from the top. First, what is LinkedIn and what is the main purpose of LinkedIn?
Okay.
So that we can get to how people are doing LinkedIn wrong, and the right way to do it, and then grow your LinkedIn. So these are a series of questions. But let's start from what is LinkedIn?
Okay.
What's the purpose?
I mean, the very first purpose of LinkedIn was for professional networking. I mean, LinkedIn was started by Reid Hoffman, who's the one who founded LinkedIn, later sold it, all of that. And so it was just for professional networking, getting jobs. And so most people then treat LinkedIn for its primary purpose, which was for getting jobs. Meanwhile, now the platform has now evolved to a full social media platform. So however you treat Instagram, and however you treat TikTok, and however you treat X, and whatever platform you might be on, it's the same way you should treat LinkedIn.
I've never heard this before.
Yeah, and so most people don't treat LinkedIn like a social media platform. They treat it also professional. They are also, oh my God, I have to wear a suit every time I post. I have to do this, and that's the platform has changed. I mean, now you can send voice notes. You can literally do everything that you can do on every other platform. And so the thing is, that's what LinkedIn is all about. First of all, understanding the primary purpose. Otherwise, you're going to really abuse it. And so you need to understand that it's just a social media platform, and you have to treat it like one. And so that's the first part. Your second question was how to like from zero exactly
to, for example, a level that you are in.
Oh, come on. And so what after you understand there's a social media platform, then you have to be social on the platform. Let me say that again. After you have to be social on the platform. So you actually have to then build genuine networks. Now, the thing about LinkedIn is this. You really get to see the professional side of people. So, for example, when I joined LinkedIn, I was really looking for this guy before. His name is now escaping me. I don't even know why. His name just popped in my brain. The CEO of MTN, or the former CEO. Do you know his name?
No.
His name is just, my God. Anyway.
But anyways.
So you check him on other platforms, or you look for people like Patricia Obonai. You check for them on other platforms, and they are not necessarily as big as they are on LinkedIn. And so you really see that most of the people within the marketplace really, really entrust LinkedIn as their platform for delivering knowledge, delivering their updates, delivering so many different things. And so what you need to do is that, first of all, you need to be social. But there's this other part of LinkedIn that other people don't take into consideration, and that is sharing content. And that's why I'm saying it's a social media platform. And in 2022, that's when I actually really joined LinkedIn. I had this I was in this event whereby the speaker was talking about how they got 42,000 impressions or views. I was like, hey, and this LinkedIn is going crazy. And the thing was that before he said that, I just listened to a keynote from Gary Vee, and he was speaking about how LinkedIn's algorithm is going wild and everybody needs to be on LinkedIn right now.
Gary Vee is always early. How does he do that?
It's just it's because he does a lot of real research on the ground, and he has a media company and all of that. And so I don't want to talk about Gary Vee for now, but yeah, I listened to Gary Vee and he spoke about that. And when the guy said, it was just like a confirmation. I was like, no, like I actually have to come on LinkedIn. And then I realized that within my space, the public speaking space, most of the people in the public speaking space were not really leveraging on LinkedIn. And so they were on Instagram, they were on Facebook, and they were doing all of that. But LinkedIn was like this fresh green land. And I was like, oh my God, these people, because all of the corporate people are there. All of the people that, for example, I was trying to connect with a certain HR person. How am I going to find the HR of a certain company? All I need to do is just go to LinkedIn. I go to your company page, I go to the people, I type HR, and I'm able to literally just use that keyword to be able to discover who the HR person is. And so what you need to do is that you need to start sharing content. If you really want to be able to blow up on LinkedIn, you need to share content. And so for me, what you need to do is that you need to figure out, there are 4 types of content that you can share on LinkedIn. You need to share educational posts, number one. You need to share posts that are enlightening. So there's a difference between enlightening and educative. You need to share inspirational, or something I call the involve. So I call it the 2C, 2I formula. 2E, 2I formula, or E squared, I squared. And so educate, enlighten, inspire, involve. Involve is where you're involving them in your journey. Like, okay, you just bought a company, or you just started a new company, or you just started a new job, or you just graduated. That's what people usually just treat LinkedIn for, updates. However, the people that really grow, they treat it as an educational platform. Now, education, because it allows people to see the value inside of you, allows you to then shape the industry conversations. And so that's how you really should be able to grow on LinkedIn, because now you can really connect with the people who really matter within the space. And if you are really in the B2B space, that's like, it's a gold mine for you if you're in B2B. Yeah.
Wow. I need to leverage on LinkedIn Paa. You've done a lot of leadership training in a lot of companies. What key things have you noticed over your journey that this is a leadership quality that is mostly underrated? Oh,
definitely the power to influence. John C. Maxwell said something, and I read a lot of John C. Maxwell books, and he said, leadership is all about influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so in any given scenario, in any given arena, one of the things that you need to learn as a leader is how to be able to influence. The moment you and what is influence then? Influence is your ability to then get people to do what they want for their own reasons without even necessarily telling them to do something. Like, they are intrinsically motivated just from you. I mean, you're the one that leads the charge. You know, the word influence comes from the Latin one known as influentum. And
I was waiting for one more.
I just didn't want to go into that. And so that, I don't want to go into that explanation, but it was just it was mostly used in a mystical way of somebody being able to exert some form of energy on somebody, but it's unseen. So influence is that unseen.
That's where the mystical is coming
from. I love that. So real influence is unseen. As in, when you are truly influential, you don't always need to say, hey, do this, do that. True leaders who are able to then get their teams to do things, do not always, they just embody that aura.
2 more questions for you.
Okay.
Number 1, how does one become a leader?
Okay. How does one become a leader? So many different things. So now,
let's say in your own small space, let's say like you're not an HR manager or anything in a company. Okay. Like you're just like a normal worker. How do you end up becoming a leader in that space?
Absolutely.
You are in school. You're not the cardboard monitor, you're the class prefect. But how do you end up, having that mystical influence?
Because sometimes when you ask me questions, there's so much that
you can say.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to just calibrate the information so that I just don't say so much. So then how do you become a leader? So the number one thing that most people just want to always be the leader by getting to positions. However, usually that's not always the case. And so what you want to do is that you want to be the person that serves the most.
Wow.
Yeah.
The opposite.
Yes, quite the opposite. You want to be the person that serves the most. And so most people think service is a weakness, but it's actually a strength. And so what you want to do is that you want to serve as many people as you can. And that means that in any capacity, and in any possibility, as much as what am I saying? In any capacity that you can, you want to be able to then offer your service to somebody or offer some help to somebody. So if it's a group work, okay, I remember back in school, group presentations and those kind of things. I wasn't necessarily maybe the group leader, but I'm the one that will put up the presentation. I'm the one that will gather the information. I'm the one that will put it together. And so now people are now gravitating towards me, not because I am bossing around and trying to be the leader, but I'm actually doing the work of doing the service. So to be able to really become a leader, leadership is truly a function of service. And so you really need to understand and be serviceable and embody that service mentality, and you easily become a leader. And so most people don't want to do that. And once you do that, everything is literally going to change.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
And I want you to look in the camera and just talk from the heart for this one. 2025 entrepreneur, 2025 student, 2025 person that wants to be successful.
Okay.
What advice would you give them?
Okay. Okay. So first things first, you have to be solution oriented. Okay. Because if you're not part of the solution, that means you're automatically a part of the problem. And so you always want to be the person who is providing solutions to the marketplace, to your organization, to your team, wherever you are. That's what you want to do. So if you're an entrepreneur, you need to take that. Number two is what I'll say is that you need to be radical. You need to be radical. Success doesn't come to the people who are just laid back. You need to be radical. You need to be aggressive a little bit about certain things. And so you need to make success your responsibility as much as possible. Number three thing that I'll say is that you need to be a person of vision at any point in time, because the scope of your success is always dependent on the scope of your vision. And so you always need to embody this vision mentality, always be a visionary as much as possible, and everything is going to change. So be solution oriented, make success your responsibility, be aggressive, and then also be a person of vision, and everything will change from that point onwards.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Yeah.
After this episode, I want to see more leaders. I want to see leaders in the comment section, leaders everywhere, right? And this is, if you've forgotten everything he said, remember, the leaders are the servers, the people that serve most.
Yeah.
They end up becoming the leaders.
Yeah.
So make time and serve. Until the next episode. Cheers.